Hey everyone, it's Caitlin and welcome to another video. Today we're talking takeout and I'm going to share two vegan versions of popular Chinese takeout classics. So these aren't necessarily traditional Chinese recipes, but they are classic recipes that you would find in most American Chinese restaurants or Chinese food chains that a lot of us know and love. First, I'm going to show you how to make some vegan black pepper tofu, and then I'm also going to show you how to make a vegan version of honey sesame chicken. Dylan and I have been obsessed with these recipes. They are so good, so satisfying, and surprisingly, it's really easy to pack them with veggies and other nutritious ingredients, so you're still getting a great wholesome meal without sacrificing any taste or flavor. Before we get into this video, I want to let you know that this video is proudly sponsored by Nasoya Tofu. I worked with Nasoya last year, and I loved working with them because I love tofu, and they just so happen to make my favorite high quality organic tofu. So if you want to learn more about Nasoya, I will link their website down below, but today we're going to be using their organic extra firm tofu in our vegan black pepper tofu recipe. This is really good and versatile. You can grill with it like we're going to do. You can bake it in the oven. You can even toss it into stir fries and stuff. I'll get a little bit more into that in the actual recipe video, so let's just get straight into that. First up, we are going to be making our black pepper tofu stir fry, and we're going to get started by baking our tofu in the oven so it gets nice and crispy. Like I mentioned earlier, we're going to be using Nasoya's organic extra firm tofu for this recipe, and you will need to press it ahead of time, but if you don't have a tofu pressed, you can also use the organic super firm tofu instead because it is pre-pressed and it will come out nice and crispy too. So after you press your tofu, I like to do this earlier in the day, we're going to move on and slice it. So I like to cut my tofu into pretty even cubes, and the first thing I do is just take a knife and slice it down the middle, like, you know what I mean? Just like so. So then you get 2 even halves, and then I just cut each of these halves into 16 even cubes. So the easiest way to do this is to just cut it in half and then in half again, so you have even fourths. You do that on one side, then you can flip your tofu and just do it on the other side. So this is the size that I like for my tofu cubes. I find that it's a good, nice bite size, and I like how they come out nice and even, but you do you. That's just my little tofu hack for you guys. So after you cube your tofu, you're going to transfer it into a bowl, and we're going to drizzle some tamari or soy sauce over the tofu. Because we press the tofu, the soy sauce is going to absorb into the tofu, and you're just going to take a rubber spatula and loosely stir the tofu around. We don't want to break it up or crush it. We just want to get all of that liquid absorbed. So once the liquid is absorbed, we're going to sprinkle 2 tablespoons of cornstarch over the tofu. This is going to bake in the oven and get nice and crispy. If you want to add more flavor to your tofu, you can also use nutritional yeast. But because the black pepper sauce has a lot of flavor already, I kind of just wanted to keep this pretty neutral. So I just used cornstarch this time, but you could totally use either one of them. So after our tofu is coated, the cornstarch will become translucent, and we're just going to transfer it to a baking sheet lined with a silicone mat, give some space between our tofu cubes, and then bake this in the oven at 450 degrees. And while that's baking, we're going to work on our stir fry and our black pepper sauce. So for black pepper tofu, it's really important that you use black pepper corns instead of ground black pepper that you already get from the grocery store. Pre-ground black pepper loses flavor over time, so the longer it's sitting in your pantry or on the grocery store shelf, it's going to taste more flat, and also it's ground really finely, so it's going to burn when we cook it, which is why we want our peppercorns to be as freshly and coarsely ground as possible. So to start out, we're going to add a tablespoon of neutral flavored high heat oil to a pan, and then add your black peppercorns to the pan, and here we're just going to saute them in the oil. This is called blooming the black peppercorns, and it makes their flavor more pronounced, and it also infuses the oil, so that way you get a nice peppery bite in every bite of your stir fry. So after we've bloomed the black pepper, we're going to add in some finely minced ginger and garlic, and then again we're going to fry this in the oil for about 30 seconds to infuse the oil and bring out the flavor of the ginger and garlic. And then from here, we're going to add in the rest of our veggies. Typically with stir fry, you want to fry the vegetables at a higher heat so they still stay kind of crunchy. So first we're going to start by adding our sliced white onion and some sliced celery into the pan, and just gives this a quick stir, cook it for about a minute or 2. And then we're going to add in some shiitake mushrooms. Shiitake mushrooms are not traditional in this sort of stir fry, but it is common to add oyster sauce to black pepper tofu. And that's obviously not vegan, but the flavor from the shiitake mushrooms helps to substitute that. So we're going to saute those for about another minute or 2 until they start to soften. And then we're going to add in our green bell pepper. If you don't like green bell pepper, you can use another veggie like carrots or red bell pepper. So while that softens just a bit, we're going to prepare the rest of the sauce for our stir fry. So we're going to add some gluten-free soy sauce, regular soy sauce, or tamari to a bowl, along with some rice vinegar, some vegetable stock. I'm using vegan chicken flavored stock, but you can use vegetable stock. We're also adding some coconut sugar to balance the acid and to give a little bit more sweetness. And then we're going to add some cornstarch here and whisk this into the liquid. I definitely needed a bigger bowl, so I recommend you use a bigger bowl. But once the cornstarch comes in contact with the heat, it's going to help thicken our sauce. But you want it to be fully dissolved, otherwise you'll get sort of like gluey lumps in your stir fry, and nobody wants that. So like I said, once everything's dissolved, you're just going to add this to your pan, give it a nice stir, and as you can see, the sauce is already starting to thicken. And at about this time, your tofu should be done. We're going to get a nice golden color on our tofu and a slightly crisp crust. So you're just going to add that to the pan and then stir it into your stir fry sauce. And then all that's left at this point is to simmer until the sauce is thickened to your liking and the vegetables are softened to your liking. So if you like things a little crunchier, you cook it for less. If you want things to be nice and soft, you can simmer it for a little bit longer. But that is it. I like to serve this over some white jasmine rice, but you can serve it however you like. Brown rice works, no rice works. I personally just like rice, but it's super cozy and satisfying. The black pepper is spicy, but not overwhelmingly spicy. It's sort of more like a tingle in your mouth. That's really, really satisfying. So moving on to our next recipe, we're going to be making some vegan sesame chicken. This recipe is really easy. It only takes 20 minutes to make. And for the main protein source of this recipe, I'm using soy curls, which is a form of dehydrated soy. You can't find them everywhere. You might have to purchase them online. But if you can't find soy curls near you, the good news is you can also use Nasoya tofu or tempeh. I have recipe substitution notes in the blog post, which is linked on my blog. So for soy curls, we need to rehydrate them first with hot water. So here I'm just pouring boiling water over the soy curls, and I'm going to set them aside and let them absorb the water for a few minutes. But if you're just using tofu, you can just slice it and then add it when I add the rehydrated soy curls. So now we're going to bring a pan over medium heat and add a tablespoon of sesame oil to the pan. And from there, we're going to add the green parts of a sliced green onion and some minced garlic to the pan and just fry those in the oil to infuse the oil and bring out the flavor of the garlic and the onion. And then from there, we're going to add our rehydrated soy curls, or you can add your tofu at this point. And we're just going to cook this in the pan for a few minutes until the edges get a little brown and slightly crispy. And similar to our black pepper tofu, now we're going to be making a sauce to add to our soy curls. So here I'm adding some vegan chicken flavored broth. You can also use vegetable broth, but the chicken broth helps to make it taste a little bit more authentic. And then again, we're going to add some soy sauce or tamari, some maple syrup to sweeten things out. If you want to, you can also use coconut sugar because it's going to dissolve into the liquid. Just a little bit of rice vinegar for some tang, and then whisk that all together till it's nice and even. And again, we're going to thicken our sauce. You can use cornstarch or you can use tapioca starch or arrowroot flour here. It really doesn't matter. All of them are going to thicken the sauce pretty evenly. We're just going to whisk this until the sauce is dissolved, and then we're going to add this to our hot saucepan with the soy curls and just mix this all up just like our black pepper tofu until everything is nice and combined. So the sauce is going to bubble, and as you can see, it's going to start to become more glossy and thicken. And once the sauce is your desired texture, we're going to add some sesame seeds for a little bit of crunch, the green portions of our sliced green onions, and just a touch more of sesame oil because some of the flavor is lost when you cook it down with heat. So just adding a little extra at the end really makes that sesame flavor pop. But then this recipe is all done. Look how juicy and delicious it looks. And again, you can serve it however you'd like. Here I'm just serving it over rice. If you wanted to steam or stir fry some vegetables as well, you could serve it with that. The world is your vegan oyster. You do you, but either way, you guys really have to try this recipe. Just like, look how succulent and delicious that looks. It's so good. It's so good. And yep, that's pretty much it. Alright guys, and that's it for this video. Leave a comment down below and tell me what your favorite Chinese takeout food recipe is. Maybe I'll just have to recreate it and put it on the blog if I don't already have it up there already. Dylan loves Asian food, I kid you not. This man eats stir fry for lunch. I'd say like 90% of the time. I love it. I think it's so funny. I just can't eat the same food every day, but he loves tofu and stir fry and he just goes for it. So good for him. But anyways, as always, all the recipes are going to be linked below, including Pinterest images if you want to save them for later and don't want to have to come back to this YouTube video. So be sure to check that out. And also don't forget to check out Nasoya's website and find Nasoya tofu in a retailer near you. It's great, it's versatile, it's delicious, it's good for you. great source of plant-based protein, etc. Tofu rocks. I'm excited to be working with Nasoya again this year. And that's that. So thank you all so much for watching this video. I really appreciate it. If you're not subscribed to my channel already, you can click that little button right down there. I post 1 to 2 new videos every week revolving around vegan recipes and a vegan lifestyle. So if that sounds good to you, you know what to do. Regardless, I hope you're having a great day and continue to have a great day, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Bye.